Alright everybody, welcome back to the fourth and final part of the time review. Let's continue. So first we have Stinging Wind, a 4 power 3/4, clearly not a constructed card, but in limited, pretty decent stats, and during the enemy turn it has flying, so it's basically meant as a unit to defend against opposing flyers, and on offense it's just not very good, so it's a very defensive unit. Like in the early game, a 4 power 3/4 might also be decent as an attacker, but mostly it's just there to lock out the air on the opposing turn, because most flyers in limited have 3 attack or less, except for like some uncommon and rare premium stuff. So this stalls the skies pretty well, so it's a pretty nice limited card for sure. Next we have Wormstone, not a particularly appealing card. You pay 4 power for a relic, then you have to spend more power on a spell, and then that spell creates a 7/7 that also enters play exhausted, so it's also not able to just make up for the tempo by stalling the opponent for at least one turn, or even surprise blocking if you have a fast spell to break this. So pretty bad. Even in limited it's not great, but it might be okay in limited if you have enough ways to trigger it. Next we have Alhed, Mountbreaker, one of the better legendaries in time in the new set. It competes with Worldbreaker Behemoth for the slot of Prime time 5-drop. It's a 5 power 6/6, 1 health less than Behemoth, which might make or break this card. On Inspire you double the stats of units you draw, which is pretty powerful, but keep in mind Inspire on a 5-drop is a lot weaker than Inspire on a 2-drop, because you have a lot less draw steps to make it count. It also has a minor advantage ultimate. You pay 4, put one of your other units on top of your deck to give Alhed its attack and health, its stats. So this can be used to either on 10 power, super late game, warp a Heart of the Vault for free, putting it back on top, or even without that, just putting a heart back and drawing it as a 12/12 and getting to reuse the summon effect, which is really powerful to make up for basically effectively sacrificing a unit, like throwing away a unit by putting it on top of your deck so you have to draw it again, or doing the same with like a Carnosaur or a Praxis Displacer, for example, some of the good summon units that also benefit from the stat boost. Like a Carnosaur being drawn again as a 12/12 killer is really good, because then it can kill literally anything in the game, really. So there is some neat utility attached to this, but mostly it's a 5 power 6/6 with the Inspire. The ultimate doesn't come up that often and is pretty tempo and card inefficient. And in limited this is clearly a bomb, so not much needed to say there. Next we have Pensive Lumen, another limited only card, but a really good limited 5-drop. 5 power 5/4 is a bit underpowered, but a 5 power 7/6 is really big and powerful for limited, so this is a pretty good limited 5-drop. Next we have Vital Arcana, 5 power, draw 2 cards, gain 4 health. First of all, it's not a fast spell, that's a really big downside for a 5-cost Dirtle card like this, and second of all, only drawing 2 cards. Really not a lot, so this card is pretty weak. Even in limited, I don't think I'm too excited about it. In sealed, it might be better if the format is slow enough, but in draft, this is usually too dirtly, I think. Next we have Wormic Chanter. This card is really weird, clearly terrible and constructed. In limited, it might be a bit better. We get a 5 power 1/1 that once per turn you can pay 2 to turn it into a 5/5 for that turn. And on tribute you get to draw a 5 power 7/7 Sandworm. So basically without tribute this is completely useless, and even with tribute you basically pay 10 power for a 7/7, and then you have this 1/1 that you can on offense turn into an okay threat. But all in all this card is nothing to be excited about even in limited, but it's okay. Next we have End of Days, 6 power warp. You draw a sigil of each faction from your deck, and with Tribute you get to play them depleted instead. So without the Tribute the card is god awful, and even with the Tribute the card is pretty bad, since ramping from 6 to 12 and fixing all 5 colors is not really something that a deck usually cares about. So yeah, this card doesn't really do anything anywhere for now, and I doubt there will be a way to break this in the future somehow. Next we have Mistress of Light, 6 power 3/5. Your wisps have +1/+1, and with Tribute your wisps have an additional +1/+1, so +2/+2 in total. Problem is the wisps and radiance mostly are just too weak for constructed, and this is still like, the Tribute is not that easy to enable, and yeah, you're and you need to have enough wisps to benefit from this, and so on and so forth. In limited, this might be good enough if you have a couple of wisps, but even there, 6 power 3/5 is not great, so it might even not make it in limited. Next we have Thundering Karasaur, the seemingly a bit overhyped new 6-drop. First of all, quadruple time, so you have to be really heavy in time. That's even more demanding than Carnosaur. And then you get an 8/8 Overwhelm that when a player plays a spell, the other player draws a card. So basically you don't want to play spells, and if the opponent plays a spell to try and deal with this, you at least get a replacement card. Problem is, there's enough better 6-drops and 6-drops that have an immediate impact. Playing this just to have it like killed for cheap and then being so far behind on tempo isn't made up by the fact that you draw a card against most decks, except maybe against Control. So I don't think this card is actually very good. I would not play it. Carnosaur is a million times better, and usually you also have other cards in the second color that you're playing if you're not monotime, and you're also the amount of 6-drops you want to and can play in the game will likely decrease more and more with more sets, with the decks getting faster and cheaper and more powerful. So yeah, I think this card is massively overhyped and not very good. In limited, obviously it's a great monster. Next we have Reality Shift, clearly not a constructed card, and even in limited, not very appealing. It has Warp, makes it a little nicer, but yeah, you put an enemy unit into their hand, an additional enemy unit for each unit with Endurance. So if you have a lot of Endurance unit, this might be an okay finisher or whatever, but even in most situations this seems bad and limited too. Next we have Subterranean Sentry, a really nice limited 7-drop, better than the 7/7 that gets overwhelmed with Empower, because 7 power 7/8 is a massive difference. 8 health means it basically survives any one-on-one encounter in limited usually, and getting Endurance after it connects with the opponent the first time also means the opponent cannot realistically race it. This card is a really good common 7-drop if 7-drop is what your limited deck wants. And last but not least, or kind of least, we have Royal Guardian, a 10 power 10/10, triple time, and on Tribute you gain health equal to the number of cards in your Void. And on Infiltrate you create and draw a Hall of Lost Kings. So this is neat because it's a Sentinel, so you can theoretically reanimate it with Steering Sands, and then gaining health equal to the cards in your Void can be really nice to stabilize you, and Infiltrate connecting, getting a Hall of Lost Kings as a result should also break your opponent, although connecting with the 10/10 Infiltrate kind of means you're probably already winning and don't need a Hall of Lost Kings, but who knows, maybe there's this control deck that can't deal with it right away. You connect and they kill it, and then you play the Hall of Lost Kings to make 5 5/5s, and then they're dead, for example. So yeah, as a reanimation target with Steering Sense, this might be interesting. Other than that, card's unplayable in constructed and limited, really. Okay, that's it with the time review. This time I prepared my top 5 in no particular order, so let's take a look. There we go. My top 5 in time is actually kind of only a top 4 because time is really short on good cards, unfortunately for Constructed. So yeah, Amaran Armadillo, amazing 2-drop. Teacher of Humility, one of the best cards in the set, one of the best 2-drops in the game. Aurelian Merchant, one of the better merchants, and any merchant will basically automatically make it into the top 5 of their color, I think, because it provides a lot of utility and interesting dimension to the game with this new mechanic. And then we have Alhed Mountbreaker as a very robust 5-drop that might be legit competition for Worldbreaker Behemoth as a 5-drop. If you really want to, you could put like Thundering Carousel into the top 5 maybe, but I'm not too excited about this since, like I said, I think the card is way overrated and should not make it into Constructed in the end. And the rest really just doesn't make it for Constructed. I don't know, maybe you can like Temple Standard or Journey Guide, these fringe corner case cards that add a bit to Constructed, or like, I don't know, Worm Calling. But these cards are all like so speculative and weak that I didn't even really want to put them into the top 5. So yeah, Time's top 5 cards for Constructed don't look very good. Time didn't get a whole lot from this set, but the few cards that it got are really powerful and have a massive impact filling major holes in Time, especially the 2/2-drops. So really excited about that. And let's be honest, Time really didn't need a whole lot. It just needed 2-drops and it got 2-drops. So pretty happy with that. Okay, that's it for the Time review. Hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something from it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the cards, what you think about my evaluation. I'm happy to discuss stuff and answer questions. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like and subscribe down here to not miss out on the rest of the reviews, future updates, news, new deck techs once I'm done with the reviews, and so on and so forth. And also help me support and build the channel further. Okay, that's it for the Eternal Set review with Time for the Fall of Argenport. I am Manueth. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.